Beyonce. Give us Act 3 as a rock album, because the way I felt about 6-inch heels, Don't Hurt Yourself, I want rock Beyonce so bad, Shanny.
Yes.
So
Yes.
bad.
You touched on that, and I did not even put that like 2 and 2 together to think about
Mm-hmm.
like the whole 6-inch heels, because I was thinking like, if it's rock, what is it giving?
Mm-hmm.
But yes, 6-inch heels.
Mm-hmm.
That
Can
is
you see
my
it?
that gave
Can you see? And
that gave. I can see that.
can you see like her doing like a collaboration, like maybe like Paramore, or like bringing in like, you know, like other black rock elements, maybe like a Fifi Dobson or people like that. That would eat so bad. And I will be in the pit seats for that tour. I will be in the pit. I don't want to be sitting up in the stands. Put me in the pit. Me and my Doc Martens. I will have like a bust down, you know, black
Sis,
braid with, you know,
because
silver wrap. You know what I'm saying? Like something.
I know how you gonna be. And it's sad that I'm gonna have to bow out on this one and be in the stands, because my coins is not like that. And you know, you my concert
But
sis.
that's not why we're here. We are here
Okay.
today
Mm-hmm.
because you're on my show. And I'm so excited.
Yes.
I love when I have people that actually have real relationships with in real life, because it makes
Mm-hmm.
the conversation so much easier. It's going to be a kiki. It's going to be a good time. But we're going to talk about what we
Yeah,
want to talk about today. And to make
that's
sure we
it.
do a proper introduction, we got to read your bio to give you your respect and your receipts. So
Okay.
go ahead, read that bio. You know, my prescription is still fresh-ish until I get it. My eyes checked this year. Okay. Shantana, sorry y'all, I need to be professional. Let me be professional. Shantana, known as Shanny, is a dedicated professional, a loving mom, and a resilient woman who has overcome significant challenges with grace and determination. After navigating a personal journey with infertility, she now cherishes the joy of motherhood with the cutest baby I done ever seen, finding inspiration in the strength it took to get here. For the past 11 years, she has also lived with multiple sclerosis, MS, managing a condition while maintaining a thriving career because she got
Degrees
degrees,
to degree.
and an
Mhm.
active, fulfilling life because she stay outside. I could barely catch her. I could barely catch her. Them stamps be stamped and that passport be out. She is also passionate about empowering others and shares her story to inspire women to embrace their journeys, overcome obstacles, and live boldly no matter the challenges they face. And with that being said, welcome to Coffee with Yvonne. Shanny!
Yes.
Hi!
Hey, Bonnie girl.
And you know what? To be honest with you, I was trying to do the math the other day, Shanny, to think about how long we've known each other, and I can't. I don't know at this point. Has it been a decade yet? Has it been almost
Not yet.
2 years?
We're at like 9 years. I want to say we're at like 9 years.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. So
yeah,
that's a good strong friendship. You know, be friends
yes,
married for 9 years. We get into our 10-year
yes,
anniversary.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. Look how time like flies.
You know what's crazy too? Because like how we met, you know how we all essentially met, but considering
Hmm.
that we all stayed in touch with each other, and then it became more so you and I like building our own relationship over
Hmm.
like shared interests, etc. I just love the fact that we have something real between us, and meeting friends in adulthood is so challenging,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It is
yeah.
challenging to meet people who you can have authentic conversations with, but you feel like you're not going to be judged during those conversations because of your honesty, and it's
Hmm.
not going to end up on social media.
That part, like subliminally. Some people not gonna put you out there, but they'll say something subliminally, and you're like, "Oh, so you're talking about me? Yeah." Because we just had that conversation. So your post clearly is about me without you mentioning me. But
Period. Period.
say it to my
Say
face.
it to my face. All right. So if we get into our questions, I know I shared, read a little bit in your bio, but can you share a bit about your journey with MS and how it shaped your role as a mom?
So a bit about my journey, and I'm the type of person where I don't let things get to me. So I at times forget that I have multiple sclerosis until I start having symptoms, and I'm like, oh yeah, I do have this thing. But I do not allow multiple sclerosis to take over my life. I do not walk around Um, Now, don't get me wrong. I'm going to get all the things. I have my disability placard for my vehicle. And I do take advantage of parking in the front. I do use that for work so that I can drive in and be in my comfort zone and park at work because I can have all the things. But I do not allow my disability to cripple me. I do not allow my disability to get in the way of me growing and expanding my career, of being a family person. I do not walk around looking for people to feel sorry for me or just allow it to, again, take over my life. I continue to just move per the normal, do what I need to do, keep stress out of my life because that's a main trigger for my MS symptoms between stress and the weather. So like right now, it's extremely cold. And so when it's extremely cold outside, and if I'm in the elements for a little while, my fingers will freeze up, which will cause like the numbness and the tingling that are typical symptoms of a person with relapse remitting MS. So it'll come and go, depending on what the situation is that will trigger my symptoms. So I just try to stay away from things like that. And so whether if it's extremely cold outside, I'm inside, or I'm not outside for an extended period of time. And I just keep stress out of my life. And that way I'm able to sustain and do things without medication. That's the biggest thing for me right now. Since 2019, 18, 19.
So almost 5, almost 6 years.
About, yeah, yeah. So
Wow.
I've sustained without medication because, again, as long as your symptoms aren't triggered, and as long as you're going to get your scans, because um, they'll do the MRIs just to ensure. That's how they're able to detect, like, if your situation is progressing,
Mm-hmm.
or if it's sustaining and staying like where it is, which for me it has, and they are able to see that through what's called lesions, which are these like little small clouds, and I have about 5 of them, 3 on my brain and 2 on my spine. And so that's how they're able to tell. So at times where I have like memory lapse or something like that, that's because the lesions, the neural part of my brain is a little off. And so to go off and then come back. If I'm having back spasms, that's because of the little clouds on my spine. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not as bad, but some people have 20, 30 lesions, and that's what causes them to have that disability that they have where they're unable to walk, period. And so I'm very grateful that I don't have that. And again, I'm able to sustain without medicine for the last 6 years because I don't stress.
So understanding that you are constantly, making sure that you're set in the right environment where stress is not a factor. We don't do stress because we don't want it to trigger anything. Knowing like how to take care of yourself. When you started your motherhood journey, what was your biggest concern about parenting and living with MS?
So I really didn't have any concerns, outside of the fact that MS causes a lot of fatigue as well. And so I'm extremely tired, of course, having whether it's an infant, toddler, up to having children, it's a lot. It takes a lot out of you. And so after a long day of work and coming home, to have to deal with a toddler, it's a lot to think about. But thankfully, I have an amazing husband. I have
Shout out
amazing
to
support.
French.
Shout out to French. And so I can't complain, and I really didn't have any worries because I have a lot of support around me. Family, friends, like, again, my husband, like my partner for forever. Like, this person, when I come home, he ensures baby girl has already eaten. Plus, I don't get
Mm-hmm.
home until late anyway. So she has to eat before I get home anyway. So if it's too much on him, and I'm also just in lockstep with him when it comes to Madison, it's more of, are you okay? I'm always checking on him. Do you need a break? Do you need to take her? My mom says she'll take her, or do you want to see if your parents could take her? So we utilize our village, and a lot of people don't, but we're not afraid to ask for help. So again, I think we entered this journey of creating life with knowing we have the support.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, I overanalyze things, which can be a good and a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it was more of, what are the pros and what are the cons? Yes, do I want children? I do. But do I want to have them and bring them into a space or an environment where I can't give them my all I would not have wanted to do that. So I'm grateful to God that I was able to say, okay, I think we'll be fine. We have reassurance from my parents that they will be there to help us.
Mm-hmm.
You're good. I think we're good and we can do this.
And so when I was reading your bio, it was noted that you were diagnosed 11 years ago. So you were roughly in your early 30s when you found out, Shanny?
I was in my late 20s.
Your late
I was
20s,
about
sorry.
27. Mm-hmm.
So walk me through that. Like when you what were some of the things that you were feeling in your body that made you go, something's not okay? Like what was your reaction when the doctor told you that you have MS? Like how did you walk me through your emotional process?
I am a glass half full person, and you know me.
I
I will
do.
always stay positive. I'm always going to stay positive. So it was so funny. And it is a funny story, and I tell anybody, I laugh. Please laugh because I found a lot of humor in what I was dealing with. And I had, when I found out that I had MS and leading up to it, actually, my dad had passed. So this is the timeline of how I was able to figure some things out. My dad had passed that March of 2013.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in the middle of my dad passed, and not in the middle, but after my dad passed, my sister had actually closed on the house. So things had like worked out perfectly because I was living with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And moving in with my parents was a problem, like my mom and my stepdad, but it was more of living somewhere that was convenient for me. My sister closed on her house at Upper Marlboro and was like, listen, I'm down for a roommate. You know, I can't live by myself. I said, sis, I'm with it. I said, my job is around the corner
Mm-hmm.
and school is up the street. So that'll work. So we moved in like the early part of June of 2013. By the end of June, I want to say, or like the mid June. I mean, it's the summertime. We just moved in. We lit. We having a good
You
time.
was outside. You was
We
outside.
was outside. No, we were inside,
Oh, you were
right?
inside. Okay.
I woke up and was like, I may have had too much to drink. Like, what was I drinking? I can't feel my fingers. I'm feeling this numbness in my toes. I said, y'all, I can't, like, my legs are numb. I said, what was in this alcohol? So I am blaming it on the liquor that I was drinking. So I'm like trying to rub my legs out and bring the feeling back and all of this because I'm thinking that it has something, it has to be the liquor.
Mm-hmm.
So I finally go to my doctor's office, and ironically enough, my medical doctor at the time also was an MS patient. So when I was explaining my symptoms to her, I think she knew what it was. She just could not, of course, diagnose me because that was not her specialty. When I went to go see the neurologist, they did the scan. To make a long story short, he did all the testing, did the scan. Within a week, when I went to go see him for my follow up and to go see him for my results, it came back as MS. He was able to see that all these things pointed to MS. When I went to go see my primary care physician, and I was like, the neurologist, like, diagnosed me with this MS thing. Now, in his office, when he did it, I honestly was just kind of like, okay. So I walked out, no feelings at all. I was just like, all right, like whatever you say, but okay. And so he was like, we're going to send you for some further testing and all those other things. So I went to my doctor to just kind of say, like, hey, this is the diagnosis. And she was like, when I was going through all the things, listening to the symptoms you had, they were so similar to what I have that I knew what it was, even as you were talking. It felt good to know that this is something she too was dealing with, because I knew that it gave me that extra reassurance that, one, things will be fine, because she's like, hey, I've been living with it for all these years. And, I made it through medical school and having to go back through a lot of my testing. Of course, it happened to her at a later age, but it is something that is diagnosed in people of a younger age. So whether it's your late teens, early 20s, it usually happens during that time. So she was like, for me, it happened in my 40s, and I was like, that's uncommon for it to happen that late. But she knew all the things. She was like, you're in great care. She was like, because that is my neurologist. So you're in good hands there. And it was just reassuring for me. And I just left it in God's hands. I am as ratchet as I am, as raggedy as I am. I tell people I equally know God. I'm righteous and ratchet. I love it for
Exactly.
me. I love it for me because he knows me, and because I know that he knows me, he created who I am, the person that I am. He already knew I was gonna be raggedy and ratchet before this happened. So why am I gonna fake the front like, oh God, I'm supposed to be so perfect? No, he was like, child, I already knew you was gonna be coming with the foolishness. But yes, it really, just knowing God and knowing that he has never left me, he has always kept me. I was like, okay, there was no real, they were trying to explain to me like where it came from and how it starts. They don't know. They don't have research shows so many different things. And what I tell people, I feel like what it all boils down to is what is your body going through at the time? I was going through a lot of stress. I was mourning the loss of my dad heavy. And it was me still mourning the loss of my dad, right? And he just passed suddenly, massive heart attack all of a sudden. And so your world turns upside down. So from losing my dad, having to figure out how I was going to move and do all these things, and also again trying to process not having a parent. I didn't think that was real. I'm thinking I'll have a parent until I'm old and gray. No, I am 27 and I'm trying to figure out how I'm about to live life without my dad. Like, I'm a huge daddy's girl. What do you mean? I mean, up to the point where I'm in the hospital. I know I'm going off topic.
You fine.
But I'm in the hospital like, y'all can't just put him back on the table and try to like wake him back up again. Like, I was in the hospital, like, but he's laying there. I think he looks fine. Just go ahead and do it again. Can y'all just open up his heart, put a new heart in there, and just and make it work again? Child, I know the people there was like, girl, get this child out of here. But it was really trying to like process all of that. And I think, and like my dad passed on a Tuesday. I was back. I had a Saturday class and I did not miss my Saturday class. I went in there as teary-eyed as I
Wait,
was.
you were doing your master's at the same time?
My master's program. I'm trying to figure out how I'm about to deal with losing a dad, plan the funeral, because I'm technically the next of kin and the oldest. And so I have an older sister, but she's not biologically my dad. So everything falls on me. And even though my sister is doing her best to help when it's like verbal conversations, I have to go in person and do the rest of the things. So that part was hard. And I just think not allowing my body to really slow down, right? I didn't have time to process anything because I am grieving, but I'm also still moving. I'm still doing schoolwork. I'm still going, well, I wasn't going to work because I found out at work. And so they did not want me back because of how bad everything was. And so I think just kind of putting my body through all that stress and everything I was dealing with in that grieving process.
You had a lot going on too,
I
like
had a lot going on.
Losing a parent, having to make those decisions, and you being the next of kin, having to make those arrangements, being in school. But thinking about it now, you living with MS and now balancing being a wife and a mom and a career woman. How are you finding balance in all of that? How are you taking care of yourself? And then also, could you share some recommendations for women who may want to embrace motherhood, who are also living with MS, but need to learn some better self-care practices based on your recommendations? So share what are some thoughts? What are some recommendations?
I will say I'm very blessed again to have an amazing partner. I will tell anybody, when you are choosing a partner in life, please make sure that they love their mama unconditionally. Not a mama's boy, but love their mama unconditionally.
There's a difference.
My husband loves his mama, is his good girlfriend. Do you hear me? He loves his mama, but he's not a mama's boy. He doesn't rely on his mama to do things for him. He just has a great relationship with his mom. And the same goes for his dad. His dad and his mom taught him all the things in the house. And my husband knows how to cook, wash clothes, fold. He is an ace when it comes to folding.
Does he know how to fold a fitted sheet too?
He can fold a fitted sheet. That's when you know a good man, Savannah. He can fold a fitted sheet. He can fold better than me, but he can definitely fold a fitted sheet. And he can also put mulch outside. We had a bathroom leak. He went upstairs and was like, all right, they said that this is what's happening. This is why it's leaking. So let me go in here and do amazing. So having an amazing partner really does help me to be able to focus where I need to focus. My job is demanding. My husband drops Madison off, picks her up. He does all the things. he gets her ready for bed. And so that allows
Because
and
he
frees
works
up
from home,
time.
right? He works from home.
He works from home. He
Okay.
has a more flexible schedule. So even if he was in the office, he was going in, I think, for 7 and he gets off at 3:30. So that leaves room for him to go and pick her up, even if, let's say, God forbid, he has to go back in the office.
Mm-hmm.
He still will have some level of flexibility. I had to actually put career growth a little bit on the back burner
Okay.
because I needed family to come first. So I will be honest in the sense of saying everything that I was doing in my former position, working in the former division I was in, it was a lot on me. It was very tasking. It asked for a lot of me where I was having to focus on that versus my home life. And so I opted to just say, right now I need to focus on home. So
Mm-hmm.
let me go to a division where it's a little bit more quiet. I have a little bit more flexibility. My leadership is very big on work life balance and family first. So even though ideally I'm not doing what I really want to do, I'm doing what I need to do to put
Understood.
my family first and to create that work life balance.
Speaking to that about having the support of your husband, having the work life balance is very important. No matter if you're battling, MS or any kind of disease, you have to have support system in place because we
Mm-hmm.
can't do it by ourselves, right?
We
And
can't.
now that you're raising, a little girl, a daughter, what do you want her to learn from you? Watching you find, areas of self-care, find time to be a wife, to be dedicated to your family. What do you want her to learn the most from you in terms of those characteristics? Like Maddie is our little boo-boo. She's now a full-flown, we're just speaking in the future, she's a full-flown teenager, right? She's starting to like come into her full own personality. What do you
Mm-hmm.
want her to get from you to be instilled in her morals and values as a young woman? Like, let's
I
speak directly
definitely
to her.
want her to know God is everything, right? And we are a very spiritual family. My father-in-law is a pastor, so my husband is
Pastor,
PK.
a
Uh
pastor.
huh. So Madison does go to church on Sundays, and just helping her find that balance to really not schedule life out, but for her to know, one, you put God first and before everything you do, and
Mm-hmm.
live a soft life. Do not let life stress you out. So I try my hardest to be an example of not of living a life that's not stressful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Thankfully, we have the resources where I hire help where I can. I'm always going to outsource. I grew up in a Caribbean household where we're cleaning. That was a thing. You getting up on Saturdays, we're playing the
Oh,
music,
that was a black
we're cleaning.
household too. The boombox was
That was
out.
definitely a black
The broom.
household.
Yes, we know.
So
Uh-huh.
Saturday morning, I am spraying down furniture. When I had friends call, I had that stepdad that was like, "Oh, Shantuana cannot talk on the phone right now. She's cleaning the house. You don't have a house to clean." That's how he would talk to my friends who would call on a Saturday morning. But I think her seeing these things, but also saying like, "Yes, mommy will clean, but we also have someone who will come in and clean." So teaching her the importance of knowing how to take care of a house. Again, my husband some days will cook because he's home more than I am. So some days he'll cook. Some days if we don't feel like cooking, we have the resources, we're going to eat out. And that's okay. Now, the household I grew up in, that wasn't happening. My mother had to come home as tired as she was and still get on the stove and cook. At my big age and what I have learned, you're going to learn to live as easy as you can. So if
Mm-hmm.
that means go ahead and outsourcing and getting someone else to cook
Mm-hmm.
or prep your meals for you, you do that.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to focus on, and my parents did help me to understand, focus on your studies. That was a big thing for us in
Yes.
our household.
Yes.
I did not get my first job until I moved on campus. Work study student. My parents were like, "You still not getting a job off campus. You're gonna work on campus." But my parents did not want me to have a job because they just wanted me to focus on getting my education. They didn't want anything getting in the way of that. That she'll
Yeah.
be able to see the importance of go for your goals. Definitely don't overextend or overwork yourself. Try to plan things out as much as you can and create some sort of schedule so you can have some sort of balance between school and whether you're working or getting house chores done or activities that you're in, and just not overextending herself,
Yeah.
because sometimes that creates more on you than you need and you can't focus on what you need to be focused on.
Yeah. And then also understanding too that, you living with MS, do you think that in terms of like the Black and like Latino, Afro Latino community, because you are a proud Afro Latino woman,
I
right?
am.
You
That I am.
are.
I
You
am.
can wave your flag real quick. Go ahead, big up. Go ahead, tell the people where your family from.
Panama. My family's from Panama. Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
I love coming to your family functions because
Soy panameño.
I tell people all the time, I understand Caribbean Spanish. Other regions, I don't know what the heck is going on, but put me in an environment where either they're from Panama, Dominican Republic, or Puerto Rico. I know exactly what is going on.
That's it. Because we're all pretty much the same.
Exactly. But
We are all, we have the same culture. We're gonna give you that broken, that Spanglish. You're gonna get that
and
Spanglish.
that's the Spanglish
hmm
I understand. But
hmm
understanding how a lot of times in our community, when it comes to things like battling, like health issues or things like that, we're not open enough with them, right? We tend to
Yep.
hide in terms of shame. What do you think we could be doing better in terms of supporting members of the MS community or anyone who is battling a health issue that they have to live with day to day? What could we be doing better with?
I think just talking about it more, being more transparent, and a lot of engaging with your community and being able to speak up about a lot of things. Well, then that leads to a lot of the issues that we have when people are diagnosed with things. They fight in silence, they battle in silence because they think it's just them.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's MS, whether it's infertility, even going through my fertility journey, I didn't find out my mom had issues having children with her first child, even with me. It was just a thing that no one talked about or no one spoke on until I was going through my own journey. And then all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden, oh, yes, I meant to tell you. No, can we have these conversations early on? And then my mom did say that. She said, I wish that was something I would have spoken to you about sooner, because I feel like you would have either been further along or, just maybe that's
Aware.
something that we could have. Yes, it would have
Yeah.
brought some level of awareness. And even to the point my mom is like, we would have just made sure that you started having children earlier. Like, really? Really? Come out of your mouth. When y'all wanted to put me out the house, I couldn't. I came home with a tattoo at 21 and I thought I was going to get put out.
Girl, we ain't gonna get into it, but I understand.
But
I
I think
understand.
just giving and talking to, being open to people in your community. I am such an advocate. I talk freely about battling MS. I do the MS walk yearly,
You do.
and I invite everybody that I can to come and walk with me. That's a way of educating. I'm not afraid to, when I'm having symptoms, tell my family. Yesterday, I had a conversation with my cousin and my sister about, my fatigue that I have been struggling with. But that's because the weather is changing, it's getting cooler, and your body just has these triggers randomly. And so it's funny because my family's very big on, oh, you're feeling tired? Again, Caribbean. You're feeling tired? You need to sleep. You're outside too much. You're always doing something. And I have to explain to them, it does not matter how much rest I get. That is not the case for people who suffer from fatigue when it comes to MS or um, any other,
Disease that
chronic
impacts the
disease or
body.
illness that's
Yeah.
impacting the body. So I know people with who are cancer survivors who are dealing with the same thing, and it's nothing that sleep will do for you. So when I am feeling good, I am going to go outside. I am going to enjoy those moments. I am going to go places, because when my body shuts down, there's nothing I can do to control that.
Mm-hmm.
I tell them that's me. Being fatigued is more of a neurological thing than it is a physical external thing. Like, it's not an organ thing. You can't fight that. I can't drink coffee and wake up.
Yeah.
I am driving and my whole eyes and body wants to just fall asleep while I'm driving.
Mm.
There's no going to get coffee and waking up from that.
Mm.
And so I try to, my family is actually appreciative that I am open and I'm explaining that to them, because it helps them not say things where it can be deemed as ignorant, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't understand what I'm dealing with. That's not sleeping and not going to everything that people invite me to. Contrary to what you think you see on social media, I do not go to everything. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I'm out, I may be out and it seems like I'm having this great time, but I'm only out for like 2 or 3 hours and I'm back home again.
Yeah.
So that's not the case. I do rest. I get my
And
rest.
also, I think too, as a community, we have to learn how to lead with empathy. a bit more,
Mhm.
because we talked about this in a separate conversation. We have a tendency in Black and Brown communities to think if you just pray something away, it's going to fix everything, right? But
Mhm.
sometimes you are struggling with what you're struggling with for something that you can't help. Like, you can't help that you have MS, right?
Mhm.
I also can't help that I found out not too long ago I got diagnosed with high blood pressure. It is a genetic thing. Like, no matter
Mhm.
what I did, I still ended up having to start taking medication for it. But one of the things I actively have done for myself is making sure I'm reducing my stress. That's why you see Shanny my butt in Pilates every week, every
I said I want
Sunday.
to go.
Me and
I said I
Pilates
want
go
to go.
together real bad. Like,
I know. I need to do this. I need to jump on that.
oh,
That looks fun.
you but
Mhm.
it's like I'm learning the fact that, okay, I wish things would be different, but it's not. And it's also, in my case, genetic. But what I'm going to do and being proactive is making sure I take my medication, making sure I reduce my salt intake, making sure I have an exercise that's going to also reduce my stress while keeping me strong and fit at the
Mhm.
same time. So I think our generation is doing a better job with being more empathetic about what people are going through. But our mamas
Mhm.
and thems, respectfully, still kind of respectfully still kind of operate from an older playbook of don't ask, don't tell,
Yeah.
in terms of telling people your business. But
Yeah.
I really do appreciate you being honest about your journey, honest about, being a mom, and why being a mom is not only important in terms to you personally, but also instilling in Maddie, our little Maddie bear, how to be resilient, right? How to lean on her
Mhm.
faith and move
Mhm.
forward despite the obstacles that will come at her, because her life isn't going to be perfect. But you are a walking
Yep.
example of what happens when you keep going and you don't let your
Yeah.
circumstance determine your outcome. So I just want to
Come
pour
on.
that pour that into you a little
Come
bit. I
on.
grew up in
Come
black
on.
church.
That's
I grew up
it.
in
That's
black
it.
church.
That's it. That is it.
So we did a mega
That is
church.
it.
Now I don't go no more.
That is
Don't judge me. But I do love I love Jesus. I follow the spirit of Peter, not the one who cut his ear off, but the one who's nuck if you buck. I follow nuck if you buck spirit of Peter. I love God, but I like to tussle a little bit.
Yes, snuck if you butt. Come on, Erica Campbell. If we love God,
We love
what's wrong
God,
with you?
but run up
What's
your
wrong with
gut up.
you?
So those are all my questions, but I do have a couple quick fire questions for you if you want to, stick around. Do you want to
Oh,
test it out?
you can do it. We can
Okay.
do it. Let's
Okay.
go.
Okay. Now, mind you, this is top of the dome. Don't overthink it. It's your first response. I think I know the answer to some of these questions, but I'm gonna let you answer. Okay. In your opinion, who is the best rapper or singer of all time?
Mm. Am I choosing just one?
I'll let you choose two.
Can I? Okay, because I was gonna say best rapper for sure for me would be I would say Jay Z. If I had to be honest, I'm gonna say Jay now. Because in the past I would have said Biggie, but
Okay.
he didn't get to give us a full career,
He did
right?
it.
So
He did
it's
it.
not fair to say. I would definitely have to say Jay.
Okay.
And as far as singer goes, no, I don't have one. I can't even say one. Nope,
Okay.
I don't have one
That is fair. And I had a
because
feeling.
I
I had a
think
feeling.
else who I love would be performers, so not technically singers.
Okay,
There's a
so
difference.
let's switch it up. Who is the best performer of all
Of
time?
all times, Michael Jackson.
All right. All right.
And I'm B all day. You know me and Beyonce go. That's my
Real bad.
if I had to be fair, I would
Yeah.
say Michael Jackson is the best. I don't mean he's the most decorated performer of all times, and even with his short span of life that he lived, for sure, the music that he makes is still legendary. It still lives on to this day, and he's influenced a lot of our artists like Beyonce, right? MJ, and Prince. Those were her people.
Yeah.
Those are her people. So
Yeah, I would have to say I agree with the MJ, but I would like to throw in for a little razzle dazzle. I would also like to throw in Whitney Houston. I think we
yes,
don't give Whitney enough respect in
we
terms
don't
of
give
what
Whitney
she
the
did
vocal.
from a performance standpoint, because Whitney wasn't dancing across the stage, but she had a
She
presence
wasn't.
about
Yes,
her. When she was on
she
that
commanded.
stage, she owned that
She
stage.
commanded and owned that stage.
Yeah.
And vocally,
They
nobody
touched
can top a
her.
Whitney vocally. Nobody can top a Whitney vocally.
First of all, Dance with Somebody, if I ever get my hands on that vinyl, I think I will cry like a baby. But Dance with Somebody, to me, is one of the best vocal performances I have ever heard, because the amount of riffs she does in the
Mhm.
song are
Mhm.
insane. And Shanny, I
Mhm.
don't think I ever told you this, but my mama, when she was a teenager, she used to be a gospel singer. So she was a
Oh,
gospel singer back in the
well,
day.
that's a twin.
So I
Okay.
grew up hearing music, and I can hear where someone has a good tone, and I can also hear riffs and changes as they
Yep.
happen. And Whitney, to me, is top tier in terms of
Yeah.
vocalists.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah. There's
Easily.
nobody
Even when she
topping that.
was
No.
on her, we're not gonna go there. Okay, so
No, I know exactly where you was going. Mhm.
she still gave
Mhm.
us something, but
She
anyway.
still.
Okay, next question. You've discovered you have magic powers, like you are on your Harry Potter ish. Okay, the wand is pulled out. You doing things. Sabrina the Teenage Witch. What powers do you have, and how do you choose to use them?
Ooh. Me having magic powers, what do I have? The power to really make everybody nice, everybody kind, to bring kindness to the world.
Okay.
That would probably be my biggest thing. I am a person who, and if I had to be honest and just think straight off the cusp, right? Because I'm being fair and
Yeah.
I'm playing the game right,
Yeah.
right? So if I had to be honest about a magic power, I wouldn't come up with anything else but to say, because some people will be like, oh, yeah, I'll make everybody rich. No, I would legit make the whole world kind
Mm.
and kind hearted because I feel like everything else would just flow from there, right?
Mhm.
Because you're nice enough where you want to provide, you want to help people, you want everybody, you want there to be equity throughout the world. So I just feel like it would become a snowball effect, right? So if everybody is kind and want to see everybody else succeeding and doing well, it's going to naturally happen. So yeah, I would want everybody to be kind.
That's so nice. I want to use my
Mhm.
powers for that because I know that would backfire immediately. The way this world is set up. I don't mean to be cynical, but I'm like, that's not. But considering the people we got in this world, if they were immediately nice, I'm like, okay, where the aliens? Where do they pull up? Because that's
What's
clearly,
about to happen?
yeah.
What's about to happen? Mm-hmm.
Anywho, I don't want the.
Mm-hmm.
I know they're always listening. I do not believe that is happening. All right, last question for you. I know you're a tea drinker, but if you were a coffee or tea, what would you be? Like, what type of coffee or tea would you be?
Something sexy about a caramel macchiato. I
Okay,
would be a caramel macchiato because we
caramel
love caramel. We love a caramel. We love a caramel.
macchiato.
And it's just something about a caramel macchiato that's, sweet,
Mm-hmm. Got a little,
beautiful,
little
got a little
razzle.
extra got
Mm-hmm.
that sugar.
Mm-hmm. And then you gotta
hmm
get the extra syrup on the inside because you know
The
they be sitting
extra.
with the syrup
Because
at
we gotta be
Starbucks.
because we gotta be extra. And
We do.
extra is me, is who I
It's
am.
us. That's why me
It's
and
us.
you will
Okay. Okay. That caramel macchiato just gives you that extra something, that
something.
extra So if I had to, I would be a caramel macchiato.
I
hmm
love that. Well,
hmm
me and my favorite caramel macchiato, we are wrapping up today's chat. Thank you so much to my good sis for being on my
Yes,
show
thank you for having me.
today.
Thank you for having
Oh,
me.
I love you so
This
much.
was exciting. I love
I love you so much. Okay, we
you.
gotta close the show. Okay. All right, let me be professional. I hope you enjoyed today's chat. To learn more about me and my business, you can go ahead and visit pinkdollhousemarketing.com, or you can find me on Instagram at pinkdollhousemarketing. You can slide into my DMs. That's cool. If you want to follow my personal life, I do be cutting up on TikTok. I do. I be cutting
hmm
up. But
hmm You do.
but if you want to find out more about me and my personal life, I am at Yvonne underscore creative marketer on both Instagram and TikTok, aka the Clock app. I can't wait to chat with you soon. I love you, my good sis, so much.
I love you
I
more.
Coffee with Yvonne is produced and edited by Yvonne Pearson. Coffee with Yvonne is created by Pink Doll House Marketing. You can catch the latest episodes by subscribing to Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.